You're 21 years old.
Yes.
You've obviously made impression in the basketball world itself, but you also interned at a venture capital fund. You hosted a tech summit. What are your goals off the court?
That's a long-winded type of question, but just basically just build like a Rolodex and also educate myself a little bit and find the right resources to put myself in a position to be a little bit more successful than I was last year and the year before that.
So what have you actually done so far? I know you're educating yourself, you're talking to people, you're not investing quite yet, but you're getting ready.
I've done a little bit of everything. Like I gave a lecture at Harvard on education not too long ago as well, and talking about some of the uses of connecting a lot of worlds between like basketball and education and technology, how that can be a bridge between the two. And I think I was the youngest lecturer ever in Harvard history, and I think it did the most numbers. I think it did like 500,000 to 1 million views, between Facebook, the Harvard page, and things like that. So I've been trying to keep myself up to date.
So most athletes wouldn't start thinking about this until further into their career, their athletic career, their second career.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you thinking about this now?
I think leverage is now, especially while you're playing and while you're young. I think that pretty much the reason why I'm probably here is because I'm 21 years old and I'm mature enough to be in the space and talk about education and talking about investing in venture capitalism, et cetera. But when you stop playing, I think your leverage kind of goes out the window. While you're playing, I think you have a little bit more leverage and you can sit down with more people. And being 21, everybody wants their hands on like what they think what the future might be. The future is key, so being young, you have a lot of influence and a lot of leverage.
So how do you maintain focus on the game, on the court, at the same time? You had a great postseason, but it's going to be a tough upcoming season if you're going to maintain that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance. Life is about balance. Like, basketball is my craft. It's the thing that I do. But outside the basketball court, you do have some free time. You know, I'm a human being just like everybody else. Just like everybody else has a day job and they go enjoy watching sports. Sports is my day job, and I go enjoy doing other things as well, like investing, educating myself, giving speeches, and being here.
What kind of investments or areas are you excited about?
I'm so curious about a lot of different things. I've been doing a lot of reading about the online gambling. I'm curious to see where that goes. You probably know a little bit more about it than I do, like the insights, but I'm super curious to see where that goes, and just hearing about the new technology that's going to be, prevalent in the next few years.
I'm actually curious to hear what you think, given that several of the barriers to sports gambling are now dropping. What do you think the role of players should be in that?
That's the part that I'm curious about. I was going to ask you the same question, but I am not sure. Like, when a lot of money gets involved and things like that, like gambling was already $1 billion industry, and like it wasn't even legalized, like federally. Now it is. I'm curious to see where that goes.
What about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency?
I'm still having, they're giving a panel discussion downstairs on crypto. I'm missing it right now, and I'm actually could learn a little bit more about it. But I was just explained like how it kind of works. It's like a big chains and cryptocurrency and things like that. And it's like, what my understanding is, a lot of people behind a lot of computers, and they're working together and trying to like rectify and make money and things like that. But it's not the easiest thing to understand, I'll tell you that.
Well, I'm moderating that panel, so I will be asking for some crypto one-on-one lessons for all of us. It's going to be a big season coming up. LeBron James has gone to the Lakers. How does that change the game on the court?
I definitely think, LeBron has had a stronghold on the East for 7 years. Like they've won every year. So now, I guess teams feel like it's up in the air. It's our job to come in and be like, nah, the Celtics are going to be the team to hold it down for the next 5 to 7 to 10 years or however long.
Mark Gurman, who I was just speaking with as he was getting off the set, made a prediction: Celtics Warriors in the finals next year. What do you think?
As long as the Celtics are in that conversation, I can care less if we playing.
You're an incredibly young player, as many have pointed out. What do you think about the current sort of controversy around age limits in the NBA? Do you think you, at your young age, should have been allowed and able to go right into the NBA when you did?
I definitely think so. I think the argument would be, if you can serve your country at 18, why not be able to play basketball, right? I think that's the argument everybody talks about, but the NBA is its own foundation, so they can make the rules that they want. But I think that if they lift that limit, I think you'll see some interesting stories, and some kids, if they're ready, it's only going to be like 1 or 2 kids that are going to be ready for the NBA per year. So because the talent level is so good, like in NBA, if they're ready, why not let them come out?
Well, there's the sort of being physically ready, but then there's also the emotional readiness and the responsibility that comes with it. How do you sort of rise up to the responsibility of being, you know, an NBA player at just 21 years old? What's that like?
It could be overwhelming at times, I could tell you that. Being in a new atmosphere, a new environment, not too sure what's going on or how everything works, and you can easily be influenced by the wrong things, especially being young and trying to gravitate or fit into what you think the NBA lifestyle is. And it could be 1 or 2 things. It could be good or it could be bad, and it's just based on how you govern yourself.
So how have you governed yourself?
I've made mistakes. I'll be the first. I've made mistakes. I've had to figure things out. I've done things like I had to sit down and evaluate how I spend my time. You have time that people don't realize, but the way you spend it is crucial. Like athletes have to find their interests outside of sports. You know, if you don't have any interest outside of what you do, once you're off the floor, you're going to be bored. You know, a lot of times people do things out of boredom, and for me, finding what I've been interested in and like attacking it has been key for me.
So we've seen the intersection of sports and politics, especially with the musings of President Trump on Twitter. LeBron James recently criticized the president in an interview on CNN. The president responded, also insulting the CNN anchor, Don Lemon, saying LeBron James was just interviewed by the dumbest man on television, Don Lemon. He made LeBron look smart, which isn't easy to do. I like Mike. Reference to Michael Jordan. What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts. Another long-winded question. I think it's interesting. I don't know if it's propaganda, if it's for media attention, but it's interesting to see, you know, our president, supposed to be the leader of our troops, handle himself in such a manner. You know, it's almost like a high school type of scenario. I like Mike, or I don't like him, like his choosing a companion or something like that. It's just weird for me to see that. You know, I would expect more from the president that's supposed to be in charge of our country. You know, I wouldn't expect these type of actions, but you know, everybody has their own way of handling themselves, so I'll let him do him.
We've certainly seen players and teams speak out against the president. I mean, do you think that he is trying to use sports to divide the country?
I am not sure. That's a question I would have to ask. Somebody would have to ask him. I would say he's doing a good job of making a lot of people upset. I would say that, but sports is a unique thing in our country. It's so influential. It's almost like a sacrament for religion. People praise like LeBron James more than they praise anybody else, you know. And sports is so powerful, you know, and I think he realizes that, and I think that's where the conflict begins.
Do you see yourself speaking up and speaking out where you feel it's necessary? Do you think that's one of your responsibilities as a player, as a role model?
I don't know if responsibility is the right word, but I definitely feel like you have influence, and then you definitely have a lot of people that are following behind you. You know, so I'm 21 years old, and I'm thinking about the kids that are from my neighborhood, from my community, that are looking up to me and seeing me handle myself a certain way. So I do feel a responsibility in that sense to handle myself a certain way in front of those guys. But in terms of to engage into like the president's shenanigans, I don't necessarily feel a responsibility for that.
So if you're back here in a year when you're 22 years young, what's going to happen for you this year? What's next for Jaylen Brown?
What's next for Jaylen Brown? I'm in the works. I'm figuring things out. I'm learning different things right here. I see the 2 things I always say: either I'm the fly on the wall or I'm the elephant in the room. So right now I'm the fly on the wall. So I'm just learning and enjoying that.